Coming up on this episode of Latinas, we'll talk mental health, learn about La Calavera Catrina, meet Pepsico's Esperanza Teasdale, and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to Latinas, the show that's all about nosotras, created by nosotras. I'm Tinabeth Piña. Today, I'm at the Bronx Zoo, where they're celebrating pumpkin season, and we'll learn more about that later in the show. But first, it's that time of year where the change of weather and decreased daylight can affect your mental health. For the Latino community, mental health and mental illness are often stigmatized topics, which can force many of us to suffer in silence. Correspondent Elena Romero spoke to CUNY psychology PhD candidate Beverly Rosario Williams, as well as her professor Regina Miranda, to learn more.
En comparación a otras etnias, las personas latinas no suelen buscar ayuda profesional psicológica. Hoy yo te voy a hablar de 10 creencias culturales y religiosas.
Dominicana Beverly Rosario Williams is a PhD candidate in psychology at the CUNY Graduate Center and the founder of Salud Mental al Detalle, a Spanish-language YouTube channel dedicated to addressing mental health for Latino communities.
There are some cultural beliefs associated with mental health. So some folks might think that this is an individual problem, like people need to figure things out on their own. There's a wide range of beliefs that, contribute to stigma that would then contribute to people not wanting to seek help.
Not wanting to seek help can lead to suicide. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, each year an estimated 243,000 Latinos attempt to end their lives. In 2020, more than 4,500 died by suicide in the U.S.
Children and teenagers who are struggling with mental health concerns is rising. It's very critical, and you have lots of suicide attempts in the emergency rooms. And sometimes parents don't even know that their kids are having thoughts about suicide. They don't know that their children are being traumatized or sexually abused. So beginning to have these conversations, which is, difficult to have, nobody wants to think about this. Having these conversations can help parents then begin to talk to their children.
Salud al Detalle covers a wide range of monthly topics, from suicide and anxiety to postpartum depression. The valuable information offered is vital for its Latino audience.
There are unique stressors or vulnerabilities that Latinx community has that perhaps other groups may not have, right? So when you think about people migrating to the US, sometimes there is that trauma that comes with migrating. The challenges of needing to learn a new language, adapt to a new culture, those can be stressors that can then affect how a disorder manifests itself or increasing the risk of developing a mental health condition.
Regina Miranda is Rosario Williams's PhD advisor and psychology professor at Hunter College and at the CUNY Graduate Center.
A lot of the mental health system was developed from a more Eurocentric perspective. And so we tend to have an underrepresentation of Spanish-speaking individuals in the field. Only about 5% of psychologists are Hispanic or Latinx, despite the fact that about 18 to 20% of our population is now Hispanic or Latinx. So it's a problem in our field, and that's why we need people like Beverly to represent and also to do research and provide clinical care.
Both Rosario Williams and Miranda hope mental health conversations in Latino communities can be normalized.
My goal for the most part is destigmatizing mental health concerns, increasing access to services, and building stronger families.
Mental health is a part of an important part of our daily lives. We can't escape it, so not talking about it is not going to make things go away. That what we need to do is engage with our emotional lives to lead fuller and more fulfilling lives.
For Latinas, I'm Elena Romero.
Last season, we introduced you to the book Skeletina and the In-Between World, which tells the tale of a fun-loving, fearless little girl who lives in the in-between world with her friends. And now, just in time for Halloween, the book's author and illustrator, Susie Jaramillo, debuts the next book in the Skeletina series that further helps kids cope with their anxieties.
So the first book of Skeletina kind of just introduces you to the world and kind of like hints at characters to come. And then the idea is that each following book is going to be about a specific nightmare. Skeletina and the Greedy Tooth Fairy is about this character right here, very specifically the Greedy Tooth Fairy. One of the most common dreams that people have is that dream that your teeth are falling out. And so I thought, okay, maybe it's not the Tooth Fairy, maybe it's the Greedy Tooth Fairy. She's the mean Greedy Tooth Fairy, and basically when you go to sleep, if you're anxious about something or another, maybe it's you're feeling guilty or maybe you're anxious about something, you're vulnerable to her. Right? And so she'll sneak into your dream and she'll steal your teeth. And then you kind of have to confront your fear, confront your anxiety in order to get your teeth back. And so that's the story of Skeletina and the Greedy Tooth Fairy. Kids love the fact that, oh wait, I have that dream too. Like the fact that you're acknowledging that they have this dream. And they love the fact that you're gonna go to dark places with them, but you're gonna turn it around and you're gonna break the rules and you're gonna make it really fun. Just really helps kids relax and let go of their fears and start to see what it is that's bothering them, get to the root of what's bothering them and start to have fun in their dreams. He poured a cafecito and Señor TikTok explained.
Skeletina te ayuda en los momentos que son difíciles para ti. Un momento difícil para mí cuando estoy soñando es que yo me he soñado como que mi mamá se muere, se va del mundo, entonces yo no puedo despertar ese sueño. Que yo sueño así, eso no va a pasar en vida real, que eso no es real. I really like the book and it's very interesting because Celestina is like a very fun girl. And she's trying to help other people forget about their scary dreams. Yo aprendí hoy en Skeletina que si tu padre no está ahí o tu madre, que tú puedes soñar con Skeletina. Y yo soñé un sueño que yo estaba en la playa con mi familia y nos hallamos delfines y nadamos con ellos y después nos dimos cuenta que no eran delfines, eran tiburones, pero eran buenos, no eran malos.
One of the things that we're doing to really get kids to understand what Skeletina is about is we've created something called a dream machine on what we call the World Wide Web. And so at skeletina.com, if you go there, you'll be prompted to enter in your scary dream. And then Skeletina will send you an email that turns your scary dream into a really fun one. So that's just a way that we're sort of organically encouraging kids to share what's your scary dream, because Skeletina's not afraid of scary dreams. She'll turn your dream into a really fun adventure. The reality is that kids have darkness inside, right? Kids have fears. And kids are seeing really strange, crazy things in their dreams, and they don't feel comfortable talking about them with grown-ups because they think that the grown-up is gonna think they're crazy or that the grown-up is gonna see them in a different light. And Skeletina makes it okay to see crazy things. She makes it okay to feel afraid. She makes it okay to be afraid of monsters and all these different things. And I think that's why Skeletina is so important for kids.
Getting brands to embrace and understand the Latino culture is a work in progress. And we met one woman who's not only leading the way, but is also supporting other Latinas in the process. Meet Esperanza Teasdale, today's Inspiración Latina.
I love what I'm doing right now, especially the racial equality work where we're elevating Hispanic small businesses. And in particular that we're elevating and shining a light on the jefas, like on the Latina bosses.
Jefa Nation.
Like yourself. Man, it's just so powerful.
Powerful indeed, since PepsiCo is one of the few companies that has its own Hispanic Business Unit, which brings in over $2 billion annually and is on track to have 50% of its management roles held by women like Esperanza by 2025.
It's an exciting moment right now because obviously the Latino population is a force to be reckoned with and is just incredibly powerful. So I'm just excited about this opportunity that we have. There's definitely more we can do. It's not a nice to do, it is a need to do if you want to be a leader, if you want to build equity with your brands, and you want to drive shareholder value.
Some Latino targeted platforms and campaigns that Esperanza has spearheaded include Jefa Owned, Muévelo con Pepsi, and Juntos Crecemos, which have put Latino consumers and businesses in the spotlight, which she hopes inspires the next generation of Latina leaders behind her.
And really tried to build a great craft of being a leader that can help inspire people, because that's what helps drive the results. And then just really build a reputation that's uplifting, because I can't be the only one. So that's really what I'm very maniacally focused on right now, is like, who's that next gen of leaders that can come up?
Why is that so important to you? I know why it's important, but for others, tell us why that's important and how you continue that allyship.
I feel very strongly in showing up for others. So if, whether it's a mentor or it's, you know, someone who works on my team or someone externally, I had people show up for me, and it me nace, o sea, I want to do that for others as well.
You want to pay it forward.
Exactly.
That passion for paying it forward and working hard definitely comes from Esperanza's upbringing.
My mom and dad were immigrants here, Ecuadorian and Colombian. They had to work, and I had to take care of myself for a long time. And so I had responsibility in my veins very early. And then I was very lucky to have had a mentor in high school that helped me with all of my paperwork, right? Recommendations, applications, SAT. You know, when I reflect or when I talk about it, like we are right now, I'm like, oh damn, like that. It's that journey that my parents took that was about sacrificing and giving up so much on their end so that they can have a better life. It's on me to put it back. And not just for myself and my family, but for other people who are rising.
And in return, Esperanza's job at Pepsi has done a lot for her as well.
It's been amazing, like what it's done for me personally. It's just so awesome. It brought me back to my culture. I'm speaking more Spanish. I'm listening to more music. I'm trying to, you know, make sure that I keep my mom's food that she always made, like within my wheelhouse, and my kids too. And it's really proud, but it's all back to, you know, Pablo y Esperanza, right? Like they are the two that really set the stage for me achieving more than they had.
What's next for you?
What is next for me? That is a very good question. I'd like to take it beyond the Hispanic Business Unit, because it can't just be our team that's doing it. It has to be other parts of the business, other brands, customer teams. Everyone needs to invest and lean into this agenda.
Each year in the United States, millions of people experience sexual violence or intimidation. 4 Latinas are about to share how they were sexually abused as children and adults, and why it's important to speak up. That's the topic of today's Caliente Caliente.
I was 9 years old when I was brutally abused, sexually abused by a man that my father gave me to. He was, they named him the Brujo, El Brujo. This happened in the Dominican Republic. And this man almost took my life. I'm in the middle of the night. He forced me to drink a bottle of whiskey at the age of 9.
When I was a child, I was sexually abused. Very young, from a family member, someone that lived in my house, and later on, when I was around 10 years old, I was abused by my stepfather. There was always the shame, the guilt, the fear of what would happen, how it would affect the family. So I never spoke about it until many years later.
It's hard to share it, especially publicly.
Yeah.
And at the age of 7, I was molested by a cousin. And someone I trust, a first cousin, all it took was a few minutes. And it's just, I felt like I felt like it was my fault. That was one incident. And so in my early 20s, which is the first time I'm sharing out loud, it was somebody I was dating, somebody I knew. I was seeing for 2 months. And yeah, he raped me. And I didn't think it was rape at first, even though I knew that I didn't want it. And I know I said no, but I was sober. I didn't scream, I didn't fight back. So it made me question things for a long time, and that was over 15 years ago.
My mother's boyfriends were sexually abusing me. One of my mother's brothers sexually abused me. And well, I think anybody who experiences sexual abuse at a young age, we're almost marked. It's almost like the predators can smell the blood in the water, and they know that we're there, that we're an option. I've been date raped twice, and both times it's with drugs. And it was, that was, the most recent one was in 2008 by a friend who I was going to meet to commiserate about losing a project. I had one drink, and I, woke up on his bathroom floor.
I mean, from my experience, I didn't realize that I was carrying all this shame and guilt. I just feel like I don't want to hurt my mom, I don't want her to know that her husband did this to me. But I feel that it's a lot of lack of self-awareness, understanding ourselves, because I carry I had so much low self-esteem. And I always, when I talk about this, it's like I used to carry this sadness within me, but I didn't know what that sadness was.
We have learned to not say no, right? Because that is, the no is taken away from us. And for me, it was my father that gave me, right? So to me, anything is possible. I'm worthless. When I got married at the age of 17, and my ex-husband would take me whenever he wanted. So I was sexually abused by my husband for many, many years. I lasted 10 years with this man. But I couldn't say no, because it was like my duty. But even now, as I'm starting to date, because I'm divorced now, and I went to have lunch with this guy that I just met. And I was talking to my therapist about the fact that he held my hand, and I didn't like him. But I allowed him to hold my hand.
For me, my fear was telling my mother. And then I told my mom, because one of my friends, she's a coach, so I did get that help also. I had a coach. She's like, your mom's gonna be okay. She's gonna be better than what you think. And yeah, she was much better than I expected. I mean, she seemed to be mad that day, but then she was fine, with everything. It's hard to process because she had been married with this man. It took me 30 years to talk about it. So it's like, what can I expect? But it ended up somehow, she ended up kind of like being against me a little bit. But those are things that happen because of how she grew up, her beliefs, so I couldn't really blame her. So,
is your mom still married to him?
Yes.
That's got to be difficult.
Wow.
Make sure you tune in next month where the conversation continues with these survivors and thrivers. Believe it or not, La Calavera Catrina, the iconic Latina skeleton you see during Dia de Muertos, was created in 1910 by Jose Guadalupe, and it has a more deeper meaning than you might think. Juan Castaño, director of the Calpulli Dance Company, explains.
Dia de Muertos originated in Mexico, and those colors and the smells, every sense that you can imagine, you can feel, you can see, you can taste. And we think it's so powerful because every culture loves people who are no longer with us. The version that I know was inspired a lot by the muralist Jose Guadalupe Posada and that famous mural that he made of La Katrina. And his message was, whether you're rich or poor, at the end of the day, we're all skeletons and we're all headed to that afterlife. One of our central characters in the show is La Katrina, right? And this year we're going to have the amazing Gabriela Garcia portraying her. She's from Mexico and she spent time on Broadway in Chicago, and she's bringing her take on La Catrina. So every Katrina is a celebration of that person's identity and the fact that La Catrina can be all of us because death applies to us all. And the show revolves around two characters, Lupita and Raul, and they're a young couple that's loved by everyone in their community. And there's somebody that really wants to possess Lupita, but unfortunately Lupita dies and she goes to the world of Mictlan, the underworld of the Aztecs, and there she meets La Catrina. And La Catrina is showing her this beautiful world, an entirely feminine world that's full of color and joy, and Lupita is thinking about her loved ones. And La Catrina gives her one chance to come back to the world of living to say goodbye to her loved one, and we see that come together. And to us, it's the idea that we hope that we will one day reconnect with our loved ones, and that's the entire message of the show.
Last month, we told you about Nelly Galang's financial podcast, Moneymaker, Mi Mundo Rico. And today, she exclusively shares with us 2 more tips that she uses to help build wealth.
I feel like the way that I accomplish everything is at the beginning of every year, January 1st, I write, what are the 3 things I'm going to accomplish this year? Not 20 things, not 50 things, 3. One might be lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds. One might be I want to change jobs, or I want to buy a piece of real estate. And the 3rd one is I'm doing laser hair removal. Everything doesn't have to be grandiose. Then at the beginning of every month, I write, what are the 3 things I'm going to do in January to accomplish my goals? Okay, I'm going to make an appointment for this. I'm going to go to open houses. I'm going to go to like Weight Watchers. And then every Sunday, I go, what am I going to do this week to accomplish my 3 goals? And then every night before I go to bed, I write down what are the 3 things I have to do tomorrow. So 3 things a day, 3 things a week, 3 things a month, 3 things a year, because self-esteem is built on completion. So start with little things and complete little things, and it won't seem so grand to get to the bigger things later. Google emerging markets, emerging cities, emerging businesses. What are the cities in America that haven't hit big yet that you could move to? And you really pretty much are going to become rich in 20 years because you're a big fish in a small pond. We all also want to go and live, like we all want to live in New York or Miami or LA or big cities, when in fact, you could live in Asheville, North Carolina, or Bentonville, Arkansas, or all these other places. Move there as a young person and crush it quickly. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Some people do it, some people don't. You have to decide what you want your life to be.
I'm Nelly Alvarez in New York. Each week, millions of viewers tune into ABC's 2020.
I was in one career, I pivoted, I started another career. I listened to what I love, and I also listen to what is out there that makes money. Mission and money, parallel tracks. Sometimes they're separate. Sometimes you do something that you love and you have to do something else that you make money, and that's okay because you have to make money. And sometimes the 2 things collide and you get to do what you love for a period of time and make money at it. It doesn't always happen, and it doesn't always happen forever.
Did you know that the pumpkins we decorate to celebrate Halloween trace their early origins to pre-Hispanic Mexico? I had no idea, but these iconic symbols of fall will be on display right here at the Bronx Zoo.
The Bronx Zoo is debuting a new nighttime Halloween experience this month called Pumpkin Nights that includes a half-mile jack-o'-lantern trail that you can only tour after regular zoo hours on Thursday through Sunday nights from 6 to 10 p.m. You'll see hand-carved, wildlife-themed sculptures from over 5,000 pumpkins, showing just how animals behave after dark. And if you prefer visiting the zoo during the daytime, there's always Boo at the Zoo, where on Saturdays and Sundays you'll not only be surrounded by over 200 acres of fall foliage, but you'll also encounter more than 10,000 animals from around the world and many Halloween-themed exhibits. It's a New York City tradition para todos.
And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu and follow our social media profiles because we love sharing our Latina stories with you. And please make sure you tune in next month where you'll learn about the rise of Latino kids in charter schools, meet Bronx County Clerk Aisha Bravo, and so much more. Uepa! Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.